Challenges in organizational design. We all know that organizational design involves difficult choices about how to control and coordinate organizational tasks and motivate the employees to maximize an organization's ability to create value. In this lesson, we will explain the concept of differentiation, define organizational roles, describe vertical and horizontal differentiation, state the meaning of standardization and mutual adjustments, differentiate formalization versus socialization, explain mechanistic and organic organizational structure, and describe the organizational design and flexibility. After going through this presentation, you should be able to explain differentiation and organizational roles, vertical and horizontal differentiation, balancing centralization and decentralization, balancing standardization and mutual adjustment, formalization versus socialization, mechanistic and organic structure, structured flexibility and flexible structure, forces for change in organization and flexibility model. Differentiation is the process by which an organization allocates people and resources to organizational tasks and establishes the task and authority relationships that allow the organization to achieve its goals. Organizational differentiation is the differences in cognitive and emotional orientations among managers in different functional departments and the difference in informal structure among these departments. Differentiation is the state of segmentation of the organizational system into subsystems, each of which tends to develop particular attributes in relation to the requirements posed by its relevant external environment. The basic building blocks of differentiation are organizational roles. An organizational role is a set of task-related behaviors required of a person by his or her position in an organization. Organizational structure is a system based on interlocking roles, and the relationship of one role to another is defined by task-related behaviors. A function is a subunit composed of employees working together who possess similar skills and knowledge and use the same kind of tools or techniques to perform similar jobs. A division is a subunit, which is a collection of functions that share the responsibility for producing a particular good or service. Managerial functions facilitate the control and coordination of activities within and among departments. Complexity refers to the degree of differentiation that exists within an organization. Horizontal differentiation considers the degree of horizontal separation between units. Vertical differentiation refers to the depth of the organizational hierarchy. An organizational chart is a drawing that shows the end result of organizational differentiation. The organizational chart horizontally differentiates roles according to main task responsibilities. Vertical differentiation, on the other hand, establishes the distribution of authority between levels to give the organization more control over its activities and increases its ability to create value. Integration is the process of achieving unity of effort among the various subsystems in the accomplishment of the organization's task. Integration is achieved through the creation of rules and procedures to govern subsystem members' behavior. Integration is the process of coordinating various tasks, functions, and divisions so that workers work together and not at cross purposes. Organizations that perform well in uncertain environments had high levels of both differentiation and integration, while those performing well in less uncertain environment had lower levels of differentiation and integration. Centralization refers to the location of decision-making authority in the hierarchy of the organization. Centralization is the term used to mean decision-making and control. The relationships between centralization and the four design decisions are: first is the higher the specialization of labor, the greater the centralization. Second is the lesser authority is delegated, the greater is centralization. Third is the greater the use of functional departments, the greater the centralization, because functional departments require the activities of several interrelated departments to be coordinated and therefore authority to coordinate. Fourth is, wider the spans of control, the greater the centralization. The solution involved decentralization of authority so that employees at low levels in the hierarchy had authority to decide on issues within their control. The issues of how much to centralize or decentralize the authority to make decisions offer a basic design challenge for all organizations. The challenge facing organizations is to design a structure that achieves the right balance between standardization and mutual adjustment. Standardization is conformity to specific models defined by sets of rules and norms that are considered proper in a given situation. Mutual adjustment is the process through which people use their judgment rather than standardized rules to address problems, guide decision-making, and promote coordination. The right balance between the standardization and mutual adjustment is needed to make some actions predictable so that the basic organizational tasks and goals are achieved, and yet it gives employees the freedom and flexibility to respond to changing situations creatively without bothering much of conformity to a defined set of rules and norms. Mintzberg described 5 major ways in which tasks are coordinated. First is by mutual adjustment. Coordination by mutual adjustment simply means that workers use informal communication to coordinate with one another. Second is by direct supervision. Coordination by direct supervision means that a manager or supervisor coordinates the actions of workers. Third is by standardization of worker skill. We can standardize the worker skills that are inputs to the work process. Fourth is work processes. The work process can also be standardized and used to transform inputs into outputs. Fifth is output. We can standardize the outputs, the products or services or performance levels expected of workers. Managers can promote norms and values that emphasize change rather than stability. For all organizational roles, the appropriate balance between two variables like standardization and mutual adjustment is one that promotes creativity and responsibility among employees as well as provides a platform for organizational effectiveness. Formalization refers to the degree to which jobs within the organization are standardized. Range of formalization. Formalization varies widely depending on the organization. Why formalization is important? It is important because it has the ability to regulate employees' behavior, leading to benefits. It may also have an inhibitory effect on initiatives and other factors affecting effectiveness. A high level of formalization typically implies centralization of authority. A low level of formalization implies that coordination is the product of mutual adjustment among people across organizational functions, and the decision-making is a dynamic process in which employees apply their skills and abilities to respond to change and solve problems. Socialization is the way of understanding norms. A variety of organizational mechanisms can affect the socialization of employees in organizations. Socialization refers to an adaptation process by which individuals learn the values, norms, and expected behavior patterns for the job and the organization they belong to. A mechanistic structure is primarily hierarchical in nature. Interactions and communications are mostly vertical. Instructions come from the boss. Knowledge is concentrated at the top, and continued membership requires loyalty and obedience. Mechanistic structures are designed to induce people to behave in predictable, accountable ways. An organic structure is set up like a network. Interactions and communications are horizontal. Knowledge resides wherever it is most useful to the organizations, and membership requires a commitment to the organization's task. Organic structures are decentralized. The decision-making authority is distributed throughout the hierarchy, and people assume the authority to make decisions as organizational needs dictate. Organic and mechanistic structures have very different implications for the way people behave. A mechanic structure is necessary for the armed forces, while if the organization is a high-tech company where innovation and creativity is necessary, we would prefer an organic structure. The contingency theory is built on the logic of modernist organization theory that finds predictive relationships between variables representing aspects of the organization, its environment, and its performance. Flexibility is defined as the ability of the entity to proactively, reactively, or inherently embrace change in the timely manner through its components and its relationships with environment. The way your organization responds to its business environment can be described by two useful terms: structured flexibility and flexible structure. The flexibility in most organizations is usually represented by the business development function. Structured flexibility is the ability to be adaptable without whiplashing the rest of the organization, to be responsive without giving away the farm. The general environment has social, economic, legal and political and technological dimensions. An external force includes technological change. Rapid technological innovation is a major force for change in organizations, and those who fail to keep pace can quickly fall behind. Globalization. The global economy means competitors are likely to come from across the ocean. The power players in the global market are the multinational and transnational organizations. Social and political changes. A firm's fate is also influenced by such environmental pressures as social and political changes. Workforce diversity. Workforce diversity is a powerful force for change in organization. The need to manage ethical behavior has brought about several changes in organizations. Besides reacting to or anticipating changes on the outside, an organization may change because someone on the inside thinks a new way of doing things will be beneficial or even necessary. Internal forces include changes in managerial personnel. One of the most frequent reasons for major changes in an organization is the change of executives at the top. Declining effectiveness. It is a pressure to change. Changes in work climate. Changes in work climate at an organization can also stimulate change. A deficiency in the existing system is another internal pressure for organizational change is the loopholes in the system. Crisis. A crisis may also stimulate change in an organization. Strikes or walkouts may lead management to change the wage structure. All these forces necessitate change in organizations. Besides these forces, a company that hires a group of young newcomers may be met with a set of expectations very different from those expressed by older workers. The organizational flexibility model developed by Henk Valberda, professor in strategic management and Rotterdam Erasmus University, aims to guide management in understanding and identifying different types of flexibility, and in creating and sustaining flexible organizations. The organizational flexibility model consists of 5 building blocks. These are management capabilities, organizational design, changing competitive forces, meta-flexibility, and organizational forms. The management challenge of flexibility is concerned with the creation of a sufficient number and adequate mix of flexibility, increasing procedures so that organization is capable of dealing with issues in a timely and effective manner. The organization design contains an organization's flexibility potential. It demarcates the shape and contents of the actual flexibility mix. The turbulence in organization's environment determines whether or not an actual flexibility mix is sufficient and the organization's potential flexibility adequate. Meta-flexibility involves the creation, integration, and application of flexibility, increasing procedures in a flexible way. Or more directly put, how easy Can an organization develop new or dismantle existing procedures in the flexibility mix? It has a volume and composition aspect. Meta-flexibility tells something about how well the fit between the environment and the organization can be maintained. Organizations deal with the flexibility paradox by adjusting the makeup of the flexibility mix and by freezing and unfreezing organizational structures with the intent to remain vital. If you've understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly, standardization is conformity to specific models defined by sets of rules and norms that are considered proper in a given situation. Right or wrong? Right. Organic structures are decentralized. The decision-making authority is distributed throughout the hierarchy and people assume the authority to make decisions as organizational needs dictate. Right or wrong? Right. Organic hierarchy is the process through which people use their judgment rather than standardized rules. Right or wrong? Wrong. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till so far. Differentiation is the process by which an organization allocates people and resources to organizational tasks and establishes the task and authority relationships that allow the organization to achieve its goals. The differentiation of an organization into individual organizational roles results in clear authority and responsibility requirements for each role in the system. Integration is the process of achieving unity of effort among the various subsystems in the accomplishment of the organization's task. Integration is achieved through the creation of rules and procedures to govern subsystem members' behavior. Formalization is the use of written rules and procedures to standardize operations. In organizations in which formalization and standardization are extensive, everything is done by the book. Each design challenge has implications for how an organization as a whole and the people in the organization behave and perform. The most effective design is organic. If technology is changing rapidly because it allows more flexibility and faster decision-making to react to change. The decision about whether to design an organic or a mechanistic structure depends on the particular situation an organization faces, that is, the environment.